Hello, hello, hello. You're with Marc Adams at Next Level Business Advisors, and today we're joined by a real pro. Tai Goodwin is the owner of that marketing team. The last time I spoke to her, she was out of the country. She flew back in on her Learjet just to have this conversation with us. She's all that. Let's get into it. How are you?
I am fantastic. And that jet looked like an American Airlines plane, but I'll take.
All right now. Hey, but when we were chatting and you were telling me you were in this other country doing it, I was like, that is what the dream is for entrepreneurs. I love it. I love it. And I'm hoping that we can jump into that because to me that all ties into what success really means. And okay, it was American Airlines, but the next time it's going to be the Learjet. I don't even know what a Learjet is, quite honestly. I just heard about it before. So let's jump. Tell us, who are you and a little bit about your business.
So, Tai Goodwin, CEO of that marketing team, and I'm also the creator of Quiz and Grow Rich. I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years, and I know that because my daughter is 20 years old, and I started the business for her. I started because I didn't want to go back to work. I wanted to be home with her. Didn't quite turn out that way. And I spent a number of years launching while working. My last foray into an actual job was about 6 years ago. So I've been happily unemployed for 6 years now in my business, and I get to help my clients who are coaches, consultants, and course creators. I get to help them generate leads so they can make more sales. And I love everything that I get to do in my business right now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now you just hit me with something that I've not heard before. You said you're the creator of Quiz and Grow Rich.
Correct. Uh-huh.
I love that title. I love
Yeah.
that title. I mean,
Mhm.
did you steal that from somewhere?
Well, I borrowed it from Napoleon's Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
I love it. You know why? Because that's the first thing I thought about. So I love that
Mhm.
association. You might need
Yeah.
to get a little bit of details on that. I mean, I know, okay, our main company, your main company, not
Uh-huh.
mine, is that marketing team. So how does
Mhm.
Quiz Grow Rich tie into that?
Well, quizzes are one of the marketing strategies that we use. So we build lead generation systems for our clients, and traditionally, a lead generation system is, what people know as a sales funnel, right? You've got a webinar or a VSL or a download that you're giving people. Well, one of the fastest ways to actually build your email list and to get in front of more people is using a quiz. And so when I left my last day job, I needed a way to get in front of more people. And I ended up using a quiz, one Facebook ad. I added about 9,000 people to my email list in 4 months, Mark. And from there, I've never had to wonder where my clients were coming from. And so I started building quizzes for my clients to help them generate leads too.
Okay, now you done got everybody's ears peaked up, right? Perked up, perked up. They're like, what? What? Bill, what? Okay, so then how do we find you?
Sure. You can find me at quiztoclients.com. That's one of our pages. You can also look up that marketing team. And then if you're looking for me on social media, I am all over the place at Tai Goodwin, Tai Goodwin.
Okay, I love it. I love it. I want you to do me one favor because I'm dyslexic. No, I'm not, but I'm just pretending. How do I spell your website? How do I find it online? I
Which
need to
one?
find out.
That
Well,
marketing team.
yeah, give me both. But the one that's going to make me find you so that I can get my 9,000 leads. Go.
So that's quiz to clients, QUIZTOCLIENTS, quiz to clients. And we host a masterclass there. We host a workshop there that people can sign up and they can learn how to use a quiz to generate leads and get more sales for their business.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now, I want to learn a little bit more about you in this business. I know you are the diva, but what other roles do you play in the business?
um, what other roles? So CEO, strategist, salesperson, right now. We do have an appointment setter. We've got an admin. We've got a developer that, on our team. And then we outsource a lot of the things to some other team members, when we bring on clients and work with different projects.
Very cool. Very cool. Can I deviate for just a second and talk about this
Absolutely.
team? Because when we spoke, I forgot, were you in Venezuela or Caracas or Colombia? You were somewhere
I
fly.
was in Colombia. I was
You were
in
in,
Colombia.
I remember just being instantly jealous. And you're like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I travel a lot personally,
Yeah.
not professionally, personally. And so I was like, man, that's amazing. How do you do that when you're running your own business? Can you talk about how you have a team and how that helps you
Mhm.
to enjoy the life that you want?
Well, yeah, well, last year was a big year for me, Mark. So I turned 50 last year. And so I decided that I was going to travel every single month for just because I wanted to celebrate, my being alive on the planet for 50 years. And so that's what I did. And so when I talked to you, actually I had extended it over into the beginning of this year. Just
Go
like
girl.
keep it going.
Okay.
But I was in Panama in December. I came back to the States for about a week and a half, and then I went for about 2 weeks, and then I went to Colombia, and I was there for about 2 weeks. But you know, being that I've worked remotely, I've always worked remotely for like a number of years. It's been easy for me to pick up and go. As long as I have a laptop and an internet connection, I can work from anywhere because my clients are all over. My meetings are virtual, and my team is virtual. My team is in the Philippines. My team is in Mexico. So it's been easy for me to just pick up and go anywhere I can have an internet connection and work.
Awesome. Very awesome. And you've been masterful at it. So it seems if you can go away as much as you can and still be successful in business. I use that term maybe prematurely because I do ask that question later, but I'll get there.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you what makes you an expert in your field.
Oh, years of experience. And I'm somebody who practices what I teach. So, I know there's in this marketing space out here, there's a lot of people who will watch a YouTube video and then they'll go tell somebody they can do X, Y, and Z because they've watched a video. I'm someone who actually left my day job and built a company from zero to multiple six figures in about 3 years. And I've put in the work to do that. So I'm not some fly by night, watch the video, going to tell somebody to do stuff that I never do. I practice what I teach. And the other thing I think that makes me an expert is that I've got some credibility behind what I've done. I did a lot of the work that I do around quizzes and designing programs and content are things that I did in corporate America. My background is in instructional design. I've got a master's degree in instructional design for online learning. And that's what I used to do in corporate was build online training, build certification programs. And so I get to take that level of skill and expertise into the content and into the programs that we help our clients with.
Wow. Impressive. Impressive. I love it. Now, you talked to us a little bit about why you decided to take the leap to ownership. And I want to, if you don't mind, just dig a little bit more into that. A lot of people have brilliant ideas and they want to do it, but something stops them. What allowed you to finally say, I'm going to do this now?
Mm. I did not thrive the way I wanted to in corporate America. I didn't. There was a number of circumstances in the corporate workspace where I got tired of being the only, Black female. I got tired of being the youngest person in the room. I got tired of being in a box and not being able to leverage all the skills that I wanted to leverage because of the powers that be and the systems and whatever. And that was a big thing. But it also ties back to my daughter and what I was talking about earlier. When I was a school teacher, I would hate that we tell our kids to go to school, get good grades so you can get into a good college, graduate from a good college so you can do what? You can get a good job. But then every day parents come home and what do? They hate their job. Very hypocritical for us to set that model. I'm telling you to do all this stuff so you can go home, so you can actually come home and have a job like I do that I hate. Like, I don't want to do that, right? And so that was a really big motivator because I didn't want my daughter to have that experience. I wanted her to see that there was another way that she could be in this world. And so that was a really, really big influence. But the other side of that was I just was not a good corporate fit at some point. My last day job, I remember they wanted me to take some crazy title. I've been with the company for about 2 years. And I said, you want to put that on my resume? I'm like, putting that on my resume. I'm not doing that. And I literally said, so do you need 2 weeks or can I leave this Friday? Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. Because I was like, I'm not taking that title. And and Mark, it was scary. Oh my goodness. Because let me tell you, I've been working since I was 15. I did not have another job lined up. I didn't have a business on the side. I didn't even have a resume. And I
Wow.
remember I was married at the time, and I told my husband, then I said, I will eat ramen noodles every day for 2 years before I go back to a day job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had some balls or some
Okay.
ovaries.
All right. All right. Wow. Wow. How were the noodles? How were the ramen noodles while you were?
I don't know.
I love it. I
Didn't
love
have to
it.
resort to the ramen noodles.
And tell us why, because I didn't think you would. Tell us why. What did you do? How did
Yeah.
what happened?
Well, yeah, actually, the first thing I did was use a quiz. Actually, I had an email list that was about 2.5 years old, 2,500 people that I had not talked to, and I sent them a link to a quiz. And within 2 weeks, I had 500 people on my email list. Now,
Hmm,
I know that there's some people who've been trying to grow their email list for years,
that's
and
me.
they got 100 people on their list, right? But I used that quiz, 500 people, and that's how I built my coaching practice. I got clients from that. And so a few months later, when I wanted more clients, I used the same strategy, but this time I added the power of Facebook ads to drive more
The
traffic to
fire
it.
on it. Yes.
Exactly. And that's what I've done. And we still use that strategy now in our business.
Awesome. 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 I just love that story. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, sometimes I ask all these additional questions, but when it's intriguing, I want to know. That's how I can
Yeah.
grow. Everybody else can grow who hears us. I'm going to
Mhm.
ask you a question. This one is going to be a slight pivot. I think well, I'm curious to know what your answer is.
Okay.
How do you define success?
Oh, how do I define success right now, which is very different than how I defined success years ago. Um, I define success as being able to sow into the people, the projects, and the communities that matter to me. I define success as being able to live out my values in everything that I do.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
powerful. I've never heard that one before.
Hmm.
I need you to do me a favor and just dig into why you call that success. So sowing into the people, the places, communities that matter to you. What is that really? What are you really telling me?
It because for so long, I grew up in inner city Philadelphia, and when you come from certain places, success early on is defined as I want to make money, right? Oh, I
Mhm.
got the 6-figure job, I got the house, I got this, and I've had those things. Um, didn't fuel my cup, you know what I mean? It was
I love
nice
that
to have,
expression.
but it didn't fuel, it still left me wanting. And so when I started thinking about what kind of impact, what kind of legacy do I want to leave? What kind of impact do I want to have? Who are the people that I sow into? And that's how I, when I work with clients, when I take on clients, I'm very specific, and I say, I'm not just bringing you on as a client, I'm sowing into you, and I'm sowing into your business.
Mm,
you know and that is just how I like to operate. There's people that I've said no to working with because I didn't want to sow into their business. I didn't want to sow into their vision. But as an entrepreneur, I get to choose who I sow into with my time, who I sow into with my energy, the people that matter to me, my family, the projects that I'm interested in. I was on a board of a nonprofit back in Minnesota that was called Books on Wings. And as a former teacher, and I'm a bookaholic,
mm.
it thrilled me to be able to be on that board as the president, to help get more books into classrooms, right? So I'm able to, that's success to me, right? Being able to sow into those projects and those things that matter most to me, because, money is fleeting, right?
Yep,
We can do a lot with money. It gives us a lot of choices, but at the end of the day, there's different ways to create abundance and prosperity and wealth, you know?
I love it. Oh, wow. So I'm going to ask you a yes or no question.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself successful?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I guess that. I guess that. Here's the real question. How did you make your success possible? But before you answer that, we're going to take one brief break. Do you know what it takes to be successful as a business owner? There are 5 keys that every business owner has to master in order to be successful. How do I know these keys? Well, I used to say that I made them up, but really, I've learned these 5 keys in 2 ways. My name is Marc Adams. I'm the owner of Next Level Business Advisors and the host of the podcast, Business Stories of Success. In the podcast, we discuss success with business owners from around the world. We talk about what it means to them, how they achieve it, and the single biggest quality or personality trait that's needed in order to be successful. As a profitability and growth business advisor, I work with business owners around the country to help them increase profit and or accelerate growth. Now I say or because some business owners aren't properly positioned to accelerate growth. In those cases, we actually focus on honing in on profitability. If you are a business owner
and you're excited about improving your profit or accelerating your growth, feel free to download my free ebook, Mastering the 5 Keys to Make Your Business Successful. It's found at my website, nlbusinessadvisors.com/5 keys. That's the number 5 keys. You can also subscribe to my podcast, Business Stories of Success. And if you're really ready to start accelerating your growth, feel free to schedule your free discovery call. We'll talk about where you are today, what your goals are, your challenges, your obstacles, and I can help you to hurdle some of the hurdles to your own business success. Join me at Next Level Business Advisors and schedule your appointment today.
So we're back. So how did you make success possible?
At the core, I did a lot of inner work.
Okay.
A lot of inner work. I had to remove a lot of, roadblocks internally, like we call them inner gremlins and that kind of stuff. I did a lot of inner work. I had to make some really, really tough decisions about how I was going to live, about who I was going to let in my space, about how I was going to work. And then I just kept going. I think a lot of people quit too soon. Or a lot of people will say, well, such and such didn't happen for me, so I guess that means I shouldn't do it. No, you have to push forward. I think resilience has a lot to do with people who are successful as entrepreneurs, because you're going to hear no so many times, and you have to become tough-skinned, and then a big piece of this, Mark, honestly, no pun intended, was I had to be honest about what I really wanted.
Okay.
What do you mean? Because for a long time, it was like, well, you have to make 6 figures and you have to do this and you have to have this job and you have to have this car and you have to have this house. No, I'll give you a perfect example. I was out in the dating world for a little bit. Okay. And this guy tried to clown me because of my car. My car is 20 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a Honda CRV, has 150,000 miles on it.
Okay.
I don't drive much. I work from home. And he was like, you do this, and you don't have this kind of car. I said, yeah, but here's my deal. Do you know how I got to travel last year, every single month? I didn't take on a car payment. I was intentional about, I don't want to have a car payment and I don't want to have to pay car insurance on a new car in Florida. I'd rather use that money to travel. And that's what I did. But that's a decision that I have to make. Right? People are like, how did you get to travel? Listen, I made that decision, right? I'm going to hold off on getting the car because I want to travel. And was it worth it? Absolutely. I spent 10 days in Dubai. I went to Jamaica. I went to Panama. I went to all these different cities, San Diego, Las Vegas, Memphis for a concert, Philadelphia for my birthday. Every single month, I was somewhere else. And I couldn't have done it if I had a huge car payment. Right. So, but it's about, so how do I get the success that I want? I had to make some decisions about how I wanted to live, regardless of what everybody else was saying or what other people were doing. And I had a blast. And then people were mad at me. Well, how can you travel? You could do, yeah, I made some decisions and they might not have been popular, but it got me what I wanted. And that means I'm successful on my own terms.
I love it. I love it. And that's what I've found in doing this podcast. I've been doing this, I think, 2 years now. Everybody, it's called Stories of Success, but that word success is a tricky word. Success is unique to each individual, and so I like what you said. You defined what success was going to be for you, and then you worked to achieve it, right? And so that's awesome. What are some things that you're doing to continue making your life and your business successful? What are some of the things you're actively doing?
Actively streamlining the business. Okay. We've got 2 sides of our business. We've got a side that works with coaches and consultants, and we've got another side that's the agency that we work on. We work with higher end clients. These are companies that are doing, 1.5 to 2 million and above, who are looking to bring on fractional, marketing operations, which is what we do on that side. And that's allowed us to grow and to really build a company and not just be a person of one. As I think a lot of entrepreneurs, what we do is we create dead-end jobs. We create dead-end businesses, right? We know about dead-end jobs, right? But we create these dead-end businesses because it's only us. And if it's just us, we can't scale, we can't grow. And so I know that I really wanted to I wanted to employ other people. I wanted to give back in that way. And that means I needed to build a company, not just have a solopreneur business. And that's a different level of success, but allows me to sow into the people, right, that I really want to invest in.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. We always ask our entrepreneurs, because I think everyone gets some value out of it, to be honest and tell us one thing. What's one big mistake you've made in your business?
Oh my gosh, that's a long list.
Oh,
You know what? I think that the biggest mistake was oh gosh, can I give you two?
sure, if you want
I'll
to.
give you 1.5.
Okay.
Well, number one was not charging enough.
Oh, you're preaching it quiet. Okay, go ahead,
Yes,
please.
not charging enough. Long in the beginning of my career, a friend of mine, and she wanted us to take this class together with this guy who was teaching people how to build courses, right? I think I paid like $1,700, and this was like what, 15 years ago. So that was a high ticket thing back then, right?
Yeah.
And I was so pissed, Mark, because everything that he was teaching was all the stuff that I had already done in grad school. I was like, seriously? And he was doing a really bad job of it. In fact, I think that's the only time he ever offered that program. He went on to offer other things that were much more successful, but I'm like, this is horrible. Like, I could do so much better than this. And I realized, I undervalued what I brought to the table, and it would take me years to really value it. That was, like I said, I had to do a lot of internal stuff. The other mistake that I made was undervaluing confidence.
Ooh.
And I need your audience to hear this.
I need to hear it.
Yeah, listen. A lot of times the difference between somebody who's successful and somebody who is not getting clients is the level of confidence. People buy from people that they are confident about. If you're showing up in conversations and you're not confident, if you're showing up in conversations and your language is what I call wishy-washy, I might be able to, I think I can. That's not confident. It needs to be definitive. You need to be decisive when you're having conversations with people. And in the beginning, I was just like, well, I was just so happy that, somebody was going to hire me, right? I didn't realize that people are hiring me and they expect me to be the expert from the beginning. And that's what my clients were looking for. They weren't looking for a friend. And I think this, I don't think guys have this as much as women have this, but we think that people have to really, really like us. And we got to be buddies with people. No, you have to be respected for your expertise, and you have to lead those conversations. You can't be passive about things. And I thought that me being like this nice person, this friendly person, was going to close more deals, and it never did. But when I stepped up and I was more decisive, I was more, listen, if you want to do some work together, here's what it's going to take. Here's what it's going to look like. This is what the investment is. Take it or leave it. Right? That opened the door to more sales being booked than me trying to be liked.
I love it. I love that. So I want to encapsulate that if I can. I asked you for one mistake. You gave me 1.5. They both circled around one word: undervaluing. Your pricing and your confidence. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
You have figured out how to self-analyze. Tell me if I'm wrong. Figure out that this is my shortfall here. And instead I want to be liked, but instead of being, I want to be respected almost. And my confidence shows it. And you know why I love that statement? Because it is so incredibly true, especially when you're in a position as you are, and I am too, as an advisor, and someone comes to me with a problem, even if I don't know the answer. One of my clients told me, one of the best things you told me, Marc, was I might not know the answer and I might make a mistake, but I will fix it and we will move forward. And he was like, and I was like, really? First of all, did I say that? And he said, you said that. and it stuck with him, right? So it's the confidence of knowing what we know. And don't undervalue it. I have too many clients, and I'm glad you said it, really. And you said your listeners need to hear it, who undervalue who they are.
Yeah.
And they undersell. And in the accounting world, especially, they end up working like dogs because they have this low dollar figure because they think that's the only thing they can get, and they burn out.
Yeah.
Charge what you're worth. That's a term I've heard before.
Yeah. Well, I want to pivot off that a little bit because our worth is immeasurable.
Amen.
Right. So what we say is charge for the value that you deliver, and especially in accountants, if you're helping somebody, save or avoid an error that's going to cost them $100,000 and you charge them $200 because that's what you thought you could get, you're undervaluing what you're bringing to the table. And we teach people how to pay us. That's one of the things that I say all the time. And I borrowed that from Dr. Phil. He said we teach people how to treat us. I don't watch him, I haven't watched him in years, but, we teach people how to treat us. I say as entrepreneurs, we teach people how to pay us.
I like it. And you know what? One other thing, now I'm going to pivot off the pivot. When you undervalue yourself, your clients are going to undervalue you too.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the worst thing in the world. After a while, they don't look at you the way that you should be looked at. And then you can't turn around and say, oh, but I did this. They're like, no. So start at the top, right?
Absolutely.
Start
Absolutely.
I love it. That's a bomb you dropped. I'm going to have to pull this piece out and recycle it and spin it and share it with others. But anyway, let me ask you another question. I'm going to pivot yet again. I'm almost going to guess I'm going to see if I'm right. What's the single most important quality you think you need in order to be a successful owner, or that anyone needs? What's the single biggest quality?
Oh gosh, that's such a good question. Be willing to fail.
Okay.
Be willing to get it wrong, because we are going to get it wrong. Right. And a lot of times people don't move forward with things because, it's got to be perfect. And we think we've got to know all the answers and exactly how things are going to play out. Number one, we're not psychic. So you're not going to know how it's going to play out. But you can learn so much from getting something wrong. You can make $1 million from being wrong about something. And we've seen that with companies, right? Like 3M, right? They were trying to, the sticky stuff that they were trying to build, right? The way they got those adhesives, that's not what it was supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be something else. But there's, be willing to fail fast, and fail fast and get up and fix it and then move on to what's next.
I like it. Fail fast. Right. I like it. You mentioned that you actually mentor and coach and marketing, right? You talk about that. How have mentors or coaches contributed to your personal success, to your business?
Oh my goodness, immensely. One of my mentors I've been working with for about 10 years. And she has just watched me grow, and she's contributed to my growth so much. And I've always had, since I started this journey, I've always had some kind of coach.
Okay.
Coaches have coaches. Good coaches have coaches, because we realize that they're blind spots. They're blind spots and things that we don't see. And we need that. And they've contributed by helping me expand how I think, expand my perspective. They've contributed by helping me see the value in what I do when I couldn't see it.
That's powerful.
And they've also helped me be accountable. And we need that.
I like it. Yeah, I have had many coaches throughout my business career as well. One of my last coaches changed almost everything about my business. Not the operation. They didn't change a thing about the operation, but the mindset around what you talked about earlier, charging what you're worth, right? Charging the right value. And when they changed that for me, honestly, it allowed me to do things like this, have a podcast and help others. Because before that, I'm just chasing that, trying to figure it all out and make the money. And I was okay. We were doing all right. I even had my Black Fridays going. Black Fridays, black guy gets off on Fridays. I don't work on Fridays, right? I had all that going, but I still was chasing. And when they instilled in me this thing about pricing, it changed everything. And mentors and coaches can accelerate success when you find the right one.
Absolutely.
It allows you to do what you do. And I think that's powerful. And what I love in the verbiage that you're using about sowing into people I think that's a beautiful phrase, because you're taking what you've learned and you're sowing it into others. You're giving, and that's a beautiful thing. I like that. I'm going to ask you to sow into my listeners with a couple more answers, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yep,
what advice would you give to a new business owner?
Oh, learn how to market.
Amen.
Absolutely. Learn how to market. Yeah, I mean, because it's something that you can learn how to do. And I hear people saying, well, I don't need to market. My services are good. No, Mark, let me ask you a question. Do you know McDonald's?
I've heard of them. Had a Big
Walmart.
Mac last week.
Oh, there you go. Walmart.
Yes.
Everybody knows those companies, and guess what they still do? They still
Market.
market. Right? So when I hear people say that, I don't need to market, my referrals are word of mouth. Listen, you need to learn how to market. That market and sell, like those are the two big skills that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it bugs me when I hear people say that, I'm an entrepreneur, but I don't like marketing. Like what? That's the lifeblood of your business. You can't if you don't have leads and you don't have clients, you have no business. Right. So that got to learn how to market, got to learn how to sell.
I like that. And you're right. A lot of people who have businesses, they hate selling. I hate selling. Like that's not my thing. But what I've learned from my coaches is that I'm not really selling. I'm trying to help somebody. And in return, I'm going to get paid. So if I think I can help you, if I think that I can help you, only if I think, or for me, I'm at the point where it's not even if I think, if I know I can help you. If I'm not confident I can help you, I don't even want to be bothered, because then you might give me money. But if I don't know if I'm going to make success, then I might as well try to find a person that I can really help. So if I know I can help you, then it makes sense for us to work together. In return, I'm going to get compensated. So you're right. It's a mindset that a lot of owners don't really get. They focus on craft, and I got to get better at this. But without a sale, right? A business is not a business until a sale is made. That's one of my first things I tell people. A business is not a business until the first sale is made. On marketing, on preparation, nothing happens until a sale is made. So that's awesome. Great piece of advice. And I think that if someone wants to learn marketing, they need to go to that marketing team.
That's right. We do, because I teach a lot. I teach a lot because it was the one gap. Like, I'm from corporate, a corporate side, and I was an employedpreneur where I launched my business while working, full time, and I was great at my craft. But what I didn't know how to do, I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to sell. And so I spend a lot of time teaching people how marketing works. Like, marketing is not just putting something on social media, right? I mean, and I've been saying this a lot lately, that social media has made the barrier of entry to entrepreneurship easy, because people will think, well, I can just say I've got a name and I can take some photos and I can have a business. But what it's made immensely harder is the barrier to being a profitable business. Right.
Absolutely.
And so you've got to be willing to learn how to do the things that not just make you a quote unquote entrepreneur, but actually being a profitable business owner.
I love it. Okay, one more question.
Okay.
If you go right back to before you started your business, the day before, what advice would you give yourself looking back now?
Raise your rates. Charge more. I would have done it from the beginning.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because the very first time I went out in business, I had a day job and I had a part-time business. I was making $5,000 a month in that part-time business. And you would think, oh, wow, that's great, right? No, because I hated what I was doing. And I hated it because I wasn't charging enough. And I started being resentful of my clients. I'm doing all this work and this is all they're paying me, and I don't want to do this anymore. Right. And so if I had raised my rates, I would have been able to serve my clients without getting an attitude and without being resentful. And I would have enjoyed the work that I was doing even more. But because I wasn't charging enough, I hated what I was doing,
I like it. That's so true of so many. Because when we start out, we're just trying to make sales. And so we'll do it for dirt, and we're not willing to walk away. But that is exactly what happens. And I remember that when I started my business, it was much the same. I didn't hate the job, but I definitely didn't give my very, very best because I was so busy undercharging. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm charging you dirt. I can do this much for what you're paying me, right? And until I raised my rates and said, oh, you know what? I can work comfortably with this number of people. Right. I have to pay this much. And it's a whole paradigm. It affects the entire business. It will affect whether you are successful or if you're just running toward or even slow walking to failure, because that's what happens a lot of times.
Dead end business. Absolutely. You got it.
So is it okay if I can say that you're a rock star? Because you're a rock star.
Thank you.
I want to thank you so much for giving us some of your time, some of your gems. And we look forward to watching you on your journey to success.
Thank you, Mark. It's been great.